Thank you for joining me. This is another Zoo Notables, and I'm PJ with ZooFit. And today we have a very special Zoo Notable for me. I read and I've written a Zoo Notable note on this book, The Year of Living Kindly, and we just so happen to have the author right here with us, Donna Cameron. I'm so thrilled to be here with you and to discuss some more ideas, again, from A Year of Living Kindly, from the year of, not so kindness, dealing with that and how we can always use a little bit of kindness in our lives and others' lives to help ourselves and what Zoof is all about, help the planet a little bit too. So thank you, welcome. You want to tell us just a little bit about yourself, kind of give a little background?
Oh, thanks, PJ. It's really good to be here, and thank you for inviting me. Spent my career working with nonprofit organizations, trade and professional associations, philanthropic associations, charitable organizations, and that's really where I saw kindness in action on a day-to-day basis, because people who get involved in nonprofits don't do it for the money. They do it because they love a cause or they want to support their community or their profession. And I just saw so much generosity, not just in terms of money and resources, but generosity of spirit and kindness. And it made me think a lot about kindness over the years. So it's something that's always been in my mind. And so in 2015, I decided to declare a year of living kindly. And I knew I was not going to turn into Mother Teresa overnight or ever. I wanted to learn more about kindness. And I'm really nerdy, PJ. I love research. So a lot of that for me, in addition to trying to be kind and observe kindness around me and just try to spread kindness, a lot of it was also investigating. There have been a lot of research studies in recent years about the benefits of kindness and the value of kindness and how kind businesses are more successful and more profitable, and the health benefits of kindness. There's just so many reasons to be kind. And it was really fun to discover those things and share them.
So we actually met at PNWA in 2019.
Yeah.
And we were paired up, and just your presence was just, again, sold me. I was like, I need to get a book. As a zookeeper myself for 15 years, I know the act of being kind to others can be can be somewhat difficult, especially for most of us when we classify ourselves as animal people. We can be super kind to animals. That's give our heart to the animals. When it comes to other humans and especially ourselves, not so much.
Yeah.
And so one of the great things about this book, and one of the things I really want to share, is that things that you talk about quite a bit is kindness starts with yourself. I love your analogy, and I immediately related it to caring for animals. It's an overused analogy of the oxygen mask. You can't take care of others until you take care of yourself, just like the oxygen mask. But on that literal level, if you were in someone who needed help, would you want someone frantic that's gasping for air, or someone who's just going to be calm and saying, this is fine, we're all going to be okay, see, I've got my mask on, we're going to get your mask on, everything's going to be fine? And that's how I view caring for animals. They can't speak our language. They can't say, hey, what's going on with you? They can just read your presence. They can just read your mood and your energy. And they're like, something's off with her, and if something's off with her, things probably aren't okay. And so by, again, being kind to ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and then letting that kind of resonate outside of ourselves, it's not just going to affect others in our community, others in our job. It affects, again, for zookeepers, for animal care professionals, it affects the animals that we care so much about.
Sure.
Well,
if we stop fueling them, if we don't give them our attention, and just, you know, move on to talk to the people who are civil, pretty soon I think they're going to fade away. And then the media has something to do with that too. You know, how much attention we give to people who are telling lies, who are spewing hate, who are trying to destroy our systems. It's a tough one, but I guess what it comes down to for me is kindness isn't weakness at all. And I think that might be one of the biggest misperceptions. I've had people say to me things like, well, because you write about kindness and you talk about kindness, you probably can't be political. You can't say what you think. And yes, I think, you know, to be kind to myself, to be true to myself, and to be kind to the world, I think I do need to speak out for what I believe. And more importantly, stand up for people who may not have a voice right now.
Yeah, I like a lot of what you're saying. There is a meditation I was listening to the day after, on Thursday, the day after the events at the Capitol, and they mentioned a strong back and a soft front was their mantra. And I pondered on that, but then I decided it's not a soft front. Compassion is not softness. You know, we think softness, weakness, pushover. I was thinking strong back, again, standing up for what you believe, not ignoring it, but then a strong heart is what I kind of came to. Is a strong back, strong heart, and, you know, being able to be empathetic and saying, yeah, I mean, even in this instance, yeah, there are some angry and hurt people in this country, and again, not excusing violence on any side, but that's, you know, my empathy, my compassion is trying to show, like, and also, again, there's a difference between engaging and letting it consume you, and again, and standing up for yourself, you know, taking care of yourself. And we have a saying in the animal care field called, you get the behaviors that you reinforce. So when you're having trouble, the animal can't get the behavior that you're training it. They're like, well, what are you reinforcing? What are you rewarding? And you know, you get the behaviors you reinforce. So if you engage into this petty back and forth, you're reinforcing it. You're perpetuating the cycle. And so the same goes for the media. You can be up to date. It is important to know what's happening, but we don't have to let it consume us. We don't have to, you know, go deep into it and engage in it. Let it engulf every fiber of our being. So
yeah. Well, you mentioned the media, and I'm thinking like of social media, and what we click on grows. And so it's really important to be mindful of what we do on social media, whether we're reinforcing the people who are spreading lies or calling other people names. I was just hearing on the radio this morning about, you know, because there's so much talk now about the platforms and how they make money and their right to restrict people on it. They make money on our clicks. So if we need to think about, do I really need to click on this salacious comment where some celebrity is trashing some other celebrity? If we keep clicking on things like that, they'll give us more things like that. So I try to be really mindful of what I click on, and only click on positive things. And I try to reinforce good things. I only comment on positive things. If somebody says something that I disagree with or something, I leave. I don't want to fuel them because they like that attention. They're fueled by our outrage. So there's a whole lot of media work we can do in terms of kindness.
I'm laughing because you're saying, like, when we click on these things, we're reinforcing it. That's exactly it. Most animal trainers use a device called a clicker.
Oh, really?
And the click is, we call it a bridge, and that tells the animal good job. I mean, literally,
Oh,
it tells the animal good job. So you're just clicking, you're telling the media good job every time.
interesting.
This is a
I wasn't
really
aware of that. That's so
powerful.
interesting.
Thank you for that. I don't know why I didn't put these two together, but when we click, we are telling the media good job.
Yep.
Keep
Yep.
doing that. And this brilliant association. So yeah, this is important, again, not just for showing kindness and going out, but doing it for ourselves, and not engaging, as I often say, also with what I call conservation fitness with ZooFit. It's not even a circle. It's like kind of a meshed in ball. Our kindness to others and our kindness to ourselves are interwoven. They depend upon each other. But as you mentioned throughout the book, it's like, it's simple. These are actions that we do simple. And I say this all the time. Simple doesn't necessarily mean easy.
Easy.
And,
Exactly. Yeah.
uh,
Most kindnesses are really easy things to do. I refer to them as micro kindnesses. And I think that's what most kindnesses are. I mean, certainly there are the big kindnesses where you endow a wing of a hospital, or you leave civilization to go take care of endangered wildebeests or something. But most kindnesses are those small things that we do every day. We let somebody merge in front of us in the highway. We hold a door for someone. We smile at the cashier. We say a few kind words. We greet our coworkers, and they're all so easy to do. But you know what? They're also really easy not to do. And we think, oh, well, it's not going to matter if I speed up and don't let this guy in, or it's not going to matter if I don't hold the door. Yeah, it does, because that kindness we extend to that person, kindness is contagious.
Yep.
They're more likely then to be kind. They'll let the next guy merge, or they'll hold a door, or maybe they'll make a donation. They'll do something. Everything builds. There are all these ripples. It really is true. So every kindness we don't do prevents other kindnesses from happening.
So much gold there. Where do I start? Yeah, I often say, again, the small things that we do, again, talking about even environmental kindnesses. So those little things like, oh, plastic straw is not going to matter. Well, first of all, if everyone said that, the world would be a mess, right?
Yeah.
And the other part is, again, it's not about the plastic straw itself. Because yes, if we did nothing else but got rid of straws, it wouldn't make a difference. It's that ripple effect. It's like, if I can get rid of a plastic straw, I can also get rid of the plastic utensils in the plastic bag, and then going on and building up from there. And the same thing goes for inspiring others. I have a picture of my hummingbird here as a reminder. That's the flight of the hummingbird. Great forest fire, and all the massive animals, the bear, the wolf, the moose, they're all fleeing and they're all watching their homes burn. But the little tiny hummingbird is the only one that's flying back and forth from the stream to the fire, dropping one drop of water at a time. And all the other animals are just there. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. And finally, they ask the hummingbird, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm doing what I can."
Huh.
And that's the end of the story. But I think, in my opinion, I think that her doing those small little micro actions inspired the rest of the forest to say, "Hey, if she's doing it, we can do it too." And then together they put out the fire, and because we're doing what I can. So
Yeah. And then also, somebody's having a really bad day and they say something horrible to you, or they're really rude or something, being able to absorb that and not, in a knee-jerk fashion, spew it right back. That's where the incivility stops, and maybe that person sees, oh, there are other ways to behave. It's not a matter of saying you shouldn't say things like that, or you shouldn't do that, you need to be nicer. It's a matter of modeling what you want the world to be like, and then maybe somebody sees, oh, there are other ways I could behave. Maybe I could learn to not react this way.
So you do talk about those many ways that you can, again, cultivate a mindful kindness. Once again, simple actions. At first, not very easy, but the more we do it, the better we get. Would you like to talk about a couple of those practices, like the pause and?
Yeah, the pause is the biggest one. It really is. And, it sounds like such a small thing, but I started noticing if I just pause rather than immediately react. And I think it's our habit to, if somebody says something rude to us, we say it right back, or we say something worse back to them, or if if somebody cuts us off on the highway, we will honk our horn, or make a gesture, or just call them a name or something. But if we pause, just pause, it gives us the gift of grace. It gives us a chance to decide who we want to be in that moment. So maybe they were acting like a jerk. Maybe they really are a jerk. Maybe that's how they are all the time. But that doesn't mean we have to be that way. If we sink to their level, they've won, or that behavior has won. So I really think if we can practice pausing, it gives us a choice in how we want to be and what we want how we want this encounter to play out. So I think that is probably the number one skill. And it sounds so small, but it's not. It's hard. It takes practice. When somebody says something to you, or something pushes your buttons, breathe and pause and think, what's the kind response here? How do I want this situation to play out? Who do I want to be? It's really magical, and it does take practice. It's not something that I don't think you ever don't need to keep practicing, because our buttons get pushed an awful lot. But my goodness, it's just life-changing. So that's one. Curiosity is another one. And I guess it's related to the pause. When someone does something that just bewilders us because it's so rude, or it's offensive, or seems so inconsiderate, instead of immediately judging them and saying, oh, that person's such a jerk or something, engage our curiosity. Think about, maybe, is there something that they misunderstood? Is something else going on that I don't know, which is, I think, very often the case. Maybe they just had the worst day of their life, and they're just holding it together by a thread. And as soon as they said that, they regretted it, but it's out. Giving the benefit of the doubt, and saying to ourselves, maybe that wasn't a kind thing to say, but I'm going to assume that that's an overall kind person. In my business, managing nonprofits, we used to say all the time, let's assume one another's good intent. So instead of, if somebody disagrees with you, or somebody says something that hurts your feelings, assume that wasn't their intent. Assume that their intent was good, and it just came out that way. It really does change everything if you can do it.
It's also about, the golden rule: treat others as you want them to treat you. If you are having a bad day and you say something that you regret, but it's out, you would love for somebody to treat you with that type of understanding, empathy, and compassion. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the benefit of the doubt.
Once again, that whole common humanity. Even if we can't think of a single virtue that they're holding, just they're doing the best they can with what they've got, and where they are, in this space and time. So at all times, just assume positive and be kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of your book, Kindness Manifesto, I love this. If kindness isn't evident, look harder. And if you still can't see it, make it yourself.
Yeah. It's really easy to be kind when everything's going right, when we're with people we love and we've had a wonderful day and everything's lovely. It's usually really easy to be kind.
Yeah.
But when things are not going well and when we're with people who challenge us, it's not as easy, but that's when it's most important. That's when it really matters. It's a choice. I look at it as, in every encounter, we can choose whether we want to spread incivility or whether we want to spread kindness. And they're both contagious. So if we're uncivil, if we're unkind or rude, that person is going to turn around and be unkind or rude, and then those people, it's just going to spread. And I think that's sort of where we are right now. We're in the midst of an epidemic of incivility. But if instead we choose kindness, that person's going to be more likely to do that. And one of the research articles I read early on was that every kindness touches at least 3 people. Mm-hmm. So if our kindness touches 3 people, those kindness touch three each, that's 9. Exponentially, those kindnesses spread.
That's amazing. Yeah. And going back to like the more you practice it, the easier it gets, again, moment to moment. And this is why we exercise. This is why we meditate. It's not for just this moment that we're doing it. It's for future down the line. I used to tell people, as zookeepers particularly, like, practice squatting outside the work, so that when you go to work, your body just goes, this is how we do a squat, and does it to protect your body. And the same thing with meditation is practice bringing your mind back to focus. It's not about thinking nothing. It's about training your brain so that when you want to focus on something, that you're able to. So practice those little moments of kindness as often as possible, and even in a practice session with your with your friends and family, but also practice it so that when we come to those instances of when dealing with people that push our buttons, or moments that we tend to be unkind, it's muscle memory. It's, again, just muscle memory that's doing it.
Yeah, it really is all about practice. I think people often think maybe there's a switch. If I just if I find that switch and I flip it, then suddenly I will be a kind person. But nothing works that way. If we want to learn to play the piano, or if we want to learn to play golf or tennis, you start out pretty fumbly and bad, and with practice you get better at it. And I think kindness is just the same. It takes practice, and there are times when we fail, when we're tired, we're hungry, whatever it is, or we're oblivious.
Yeah.
I did an event for the Everett Public Library. We were able to ask the audience questions, and one of them was, what are some of the barriers? What are the things that keep you from being kind? And I had talked about what some of them are. And I think the one that came up the highest too was, I'm oblivious. I just don't notice that, somebody's behind me holding a bunch of packages and would really appreciate it if I held the door. And I think that gets to a whole nother discussion that we don't have to have here, but how plugged in we are to our devices, that sometimes we totally miss what's going on around us. We miss kindnesses being extended to us. We miss opportunities for us to extend kindness. We miss witnessing kindnesses between people we don't even know, because we're scrolling through our screens and playing a game or whatever it is. So that paying attention, and that mindfulness is a real skill of kindness too.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing, again, just taking those little micro moments of like, instead of looking at my phone right here, and I'm in line at the grocery store. I have a whole bunch of groceries, and instead of looking at my phone, maybe take a moment to breathe, and again, just look around. Oh, person behind me has 2 items. Extend that kindness. He's got 5 items, you've got 50. Let him go
Yeah.
ahead of you, and it won't affect your time schedule at all. But it might make his day
Absolutely
exponential. It's that little, those little micro wins. One other thing that has helped me, and literally changed my life, I actually noticed the significant change, was something that I got from Year of Living Kindly, was the gratitude practice. And not just writing down what I'm grateful for, because I've been doing that and I can get really sloppy and very mindless about it. I'm grateful for my husband, my cats, and my home. I'm just, and all right, done. And grateful for my cats, my husband, and my home. But your practice of finding that one thing that inspired me, the one thing that surprised me, and the one thing that touched me or moved me, I'm like, yeah, see, that forces me to reflect on my day and think of it with gratitude and kindness. And
it really is an amazing practice, and it doesn't take any time at all. It's very quick. I'm certainly not taking credit for it. I learned it from Rachel Remen, who is one of my heroes. She's just the most amazing person and writer. And she learned it from Angeles Arrien, the anthropologist. And Angela's probably learned it from somebody else. It really is something, when you first start doing it, asking yourself at the end of the day, what surprised me, what moved me, what inspired me. It was really hard at first. It was like, I can't think of anything. And there would be days when I would say, nothing. And then I'd start to remember. And then the amazing thing is that pretty soon you see it in the moment. Instead of waiting for 6 hours later or 8 hours later and thinking back, it's like when it happens, you think, oh, I'm inspired right now, or, oh, this really touched me. And that changes everything. It's such a powerful practice. I'm so glad you like it too.
There is a strong tendency for animal care professionals to experience what's called compassion fatigue. We give so much to the animals that, and this, nurses are notorious for having in a very, very strong way, giving so much to their charges that they don't take care of themselves. And anxiety, depression can run rampant in those fields. I found that, again, gratitude it's not a magic pill. It's not going to make your depression, or if you have clinical depression or anxiety, completely disappear. It is impossible to simultaneously feel gratitude and anxiety at the same time. So in a moment when you're feeling that overwhelm, start thinking of things that you are grateful for in a genuine way. Like, I'm alive. I mean, like, just basic things. I am alive. I have a job. Just getting basic, and those things will start to grow, and the anxiety it doesn't make it magically go away, but in that moment it will help and works wonders. And again, extending that kindness to yourself, is that being good to yourself so that you can be that best version of yourself for others.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the caring professions are really good at caring for others, but not always really good at caring for themselves. It's like people who are good at giving and very generous, sometimes they're not good at receiving. They people offer them compliments or a seat on the bus or even gifts, and they say no, thank you. And in one sense, you're denying the giver the pleasure of giving. So you're sort of refuting that kindness. But we need to feel worthy of of that. It's what you were saying earlier about you really can't be kind to others in a sustained, ongoing way unless you can demonstrate that kindness to yourself in a sustained and ongoing way. And it's so important. And I think that gets into paying attention again. There's so many things that just keep coming back up of, practice and pausing and paying attention. We need to know what nourishes us and what depletes us. If being around certain people depletes us, let's try to minimize the time we're around those people. Or if listening to music and nurtures us, listen to more music. Do things to make yourself feel strong and good, so that you can help others feel that way. And then sometimes we don't think we have time. That's been another barrier of people come to me and say, I really would like to be kinder, but I don't have time. I'm so busy. I have such a busy life and I'm so overscheduled. And I know that's true. Most of us are just, have way too much on our plates. But kindness doesn't, although certainly it does take time to, go out of your way to help somebody or to stop and, help carry somebody's packages or something. That takes a little time, but it doesn't take a lot of time to be kind. And if we think a little bit differently, not that kindness is an add-on, it's not something I do when it's convenient or when, when I have time for it. It's the way, it's sort of the lens through which you look at life. It's how you approach life. Then it's always there. And pretty soon, with practice and intention, that becomes your default setting. That's not to say that there aren't going to be times when we slip, because Lord knows I still have plenty of slips. But I think if we just think of kindness not as something outside that we bring in when we have time for it, but just it's how we approach life, wanting to be kinder, then it's a lot easier to do. And suddenly there are all these opportunities all around us for kindness.
Opportunities to be kind, OTK.
Oh, I like it. OTK.
Opportunities, OTK. So we have opportunities to move, we have opportunities to connect to nature for me, and now we have, I like it, OTK. Let's have opportunities for kindness.
Yeah.
What's yours today, guys? What one small thing can you do for yourself and for others to extend a little bit more kindness in this crazy mixed up world, and be that radiant exemplar for ourselves, for our animals, for our community, and for the planet? Donna, thank you once again so much. If there's anything else you want to add that we didn't touch base on, that you again really were just, I want to share this one last thought.
Oh, I think we had a great discussion, PJ, and thank you so much for inviting me.
So the one other thing I'd like to kind of point out when these are some related books that that I feel are kind of fit on this theme of the Year of Living Kindly, and that is one was Barbara Fredrickson. I don't know if you've read this one. Barbara Fredrickson's Love 2.0, and
oh, I'll write that down.
Yeah, it's a really powerful book about what she calls, again, our connection with others. And so we have Love 1.0, which is our love for our family, love for our spouse. But Love 2.0 is this, again, what she calls positive resonance. And again, those acts of kindness, that smile at the grocery store, the acknowledgement and of another human being. And so that's a really powerful book. And the other book that kind of that has some essence of reminding was Tal Ben-Shahar's Pursuit of Perfect. And I wrote this in my book. Mainly it was the one exercise that really spoke to me was throughout the book, he does these exercises, and his favorite one was this 5%. If I accept myself 5% more, if I became 5 less of a perfectionist, if I became 5% more realistic, or if I appreciate my success 5% more. And that kind of just reminded me of your idea, like if you were just, 1% just 1% kinder, and let it exponentiate, how would that change my life? How would that affect me in a way? But so those are a couple books I feel tie in pretty well with this. And but once again, Year of Living Kindly. Where can you grab a copy of your book?
Lots of the local bookstores are carrying it. Certainly, your local store, if they don't have it, can order it. It's available through Amazon, of course. And then bookshop.org is another, it's an alternative to Amazon that some of the proceeds go to independent bookstores. I certainly don't want to discourage people from using Amazon because that's an easy way to get the book, but I'm so concerned about the survival of independent bookstores. And so many of our independent bookstores are such wonderful resources to us that as much as possible, I always encourage people to, if they can, look at an indie bookstore first.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. See what kind of kindness can do for you, for your animals, and the world. Thank you once again, Donna. And hey everyone, and hopefully you enjoyed that conversation with Donna Cameron discussing a year of living kindly as much as I did. That was just a phenomenal experience, learning how taking care of ourselves and letting that kindness ripple out so that we can be better animal caregivers, better community supporters, and better conservationists today, tomorrow, and forever. Again, if you love that Zoo Notable, please check it out. You can look it up. You can get it online, Amazon.com, or again, support those local bookstores. Check out bookshop.org. Again, your local bookstore can also order it online as well. But again, wonderful experience. If you enjoyed that, definitely check out zoofit.net. There is again the full Zoo Notable on our blog there. And if you'd like some added bonuses, I've got some deleted. There was an hour and a half interview that we had. Kind of shortened that up so that we kind of got the main points in there. But if you'd like to see most of the unedited version, you can check that out at our Patreon page. You can sign up for either the Hummingbirds or the ZooFit tribe. Again, with Toto's Rumble, you can be a part, supporting ZooFit, supporting all of our projects, getting some added bonuses, and again, being a founding member, learning how we can connect to the earth in healthy and positive ways. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Remember to eat clean, live green, train positive. I'll see you guys next time.